Hey guys, Uncle Ray, welcome to another episode of the Crypto Bellwether. I think everyone understands that over 90% of everyone invests in crypto lose money, and that's why the people in that 10% make so much money. Well, that's the group that I want to get you in. Now, I can't be more bullish, and I hope to get you in that group of people that make life-changing gains. But that being said, I don't always tell you what you want to hear, but when I do my deep dives, I just share what I uncover. Now, I'm full-time crypto, I have a financial background, and I literally spend 3 to 5 hours a day, every day, researching. Now, that being said, most people only research crypto projects that have tokens that we can buy. Well, I research everyone that is competition to my favorite token. Now, let me tell you my concept. I only invest bull run to bull run, period, for altcoins. I'll never sell my Bitcoin. Now, that being said, I try to play the probabilities. And my goal, for example, if I put in $10,000 today in an altcoin, I'm going to compare it to thousands and thousands. We have 4 million to choose from. And I'm also going to compare it to maybe even buying Tesla or MicroStrategy. That only makes sense because I want to just buy the token that's going to hopefully make me the most money when this bull run is over. That's all I care about. And I highly recommend you focus on that as well. And guys, let me ask you a question. Can you name, say, any of the competitors on Wall Street or the banks or whatever that are competing with, say, quant, right? Can you tell me the competitors that are competing against, say, XRP and XLM and HBAR and Algo? Can you name 10 of the top banks and the payment companies around the world that are the competition? Because I think everyone would agree there are, a couple of hundred Wall Street companies and banks that literally rule the world. No one's going to overtake Amazon or Starbucks or JP Morgan or some of the big players like that. Period. It's just not going to happen. Why am I so confident? Well, they have all the customers, and now they have the regulation, and they have the open source tech. It's just open source code and software. And I've said 100 times that 99% of all these projects are going to disappear, and the ones that take their place are not going to need a token. Now, a lot of people don't like that comment, but guys, I'm here to help you. If this triggers you, hit the unlike button. You're probably not going to enjoy this video. But if you take your money really serious like I do, you're going to love this alpha, and it's going to give you the big picture, the zoomed out picture to understand the game, right? Now, let me ask you another question. If you were going to bet on the Super Bowl, like real money on the Super Bowl with leverage, right? Maybe make life-changing gains if you won that bet. Well, would you just choose your favorite football team? Like I'm from Georgia. Would I choose the Falcons? I hope they win, and I may throw some pocket change on the Falcons, but here's what I would do. Imagine if I flew around to the 32 football teams around the country and talked to every coach, watched them all scrimmage, asked them, how good they would be, and what they expect, and if they can win the Super Bowl. Wouldn't you want to know that when I got back? Well, most people just went down and talked to their local coach or read a news article or talked to their buddies that they go to football games with. Well, what are the odds of them placing that bet and winning? So if you understand where I'm coming from, you're absolutely going to appreciate this video, and it's going to give you all the information you need to really take advantage and build out a game plan to take profits for this bull run. Now, I hope I got your attention with the thumbnail, because I'm not kidding, and I'm going to prove it to you in this video. I truly believe this altcoin season is different. That lay down easy money, flip a coin, buy the top 10 tokens, make life-changing gains, those days are over. The big boys are here, and now that we have regulation, the new projects from Wall Street and the banks are being rolled out, and no one seems to talk about it. Well, think about it, guys. If you think that there's going to be a banking reset and your favorite token, for example, is going to take over banking, wouldn't you want to at least go find out who the dominant players are and what their game plan is? Because when I first got into crypto, I fell for the BS and the misinformation. I truly thought that ICOs were going to take the place of IPOs, and that almost every company was going to be like a blockchain company. Now that may happen, but they're still going to be traded on Wall Street. There's still going to be Wall Street companies that dominate crypto. So hit the like button. Let's dive into this alpha, because it's a lot of information. Now, to get back to the football reference one real quick, even if you didn't want to hear about the 32 football teams and their game plan and talk to their coaches, you should at least go talk to the Patriots, who have won 6, or Pittsburgh, who have won 6, Dallas, who have won 5 Super Bowls, and San Francisco, who's won 5. I'd at least go talk to them. They're your true competition. All right. Let's talk about where we're at right now. We're going to get into a ton of alpha for some new projects that are coming down the pipe. And I'm going to tell you the big picture, the entire competition of what's going on in crypto. That being said, I wish more people would do this type of research. It would help me out a lot, and then we could have some real conversations about which project is going to make us the most money in this bull run. That's all I care about. All right, guys, we're down. Remember just 2 weeks ago, everyone was screaming altcoin season. FOMO was kicking in, and now we're not only down for the today, but we're down for the week. Altcoin season is not here. Now, that being said, here's some extremely good news. US and global M2 money supply is at record highs. Guys, they are printing money around the world indirectly. The US is doing the same thing. Inflation is going to be here, but assets are going to explode. And it's not just crypto and Bitcoin and stocks. It's going to be real estate, paintings, pretty much all asset classes, in my opinion. So I'm extremely bullish. But I truly believe that it's going to be the next bull run, not this one, the following cycle is going to be kind of like after the 2000 dot-com bubble. Guys, this is like deja vu for older guys like me. If it had .com behind it, it went public. Young developers and founders of different stock companies became millionaires and billionaires. But fast forward 2001, they're all dead in the water. And if I went back and I looked at the history of all the IPOs in 1999 that were supposed to change the world, not one of them are still trading. Not one. That's going to happen in crypto, and it's happening. What's going to make it happen is happening right in front of our eyes. That's what I'm going to share with you guys. All right. Now, before we dive into it, I'll tell you one last thought. Guys, with the uncertainty with the tariffs and the wars and all the stuff going on, like with the Fed and Trump, I don't see altcoin season really kicking off until that gets squared away. Now, I'm extremely bullish. I think we're going to have an altcoin season. We may have an extended altcoin season, but I do not think you can just flip a coin and buy just any token and they'll all make money. I don't believe that. Or they'll all make money if you sell, but they're not going to all make the money that we got into crypto to make. All right. That being said, let's get into it, guys. Here's what kicked off this video. I was looking at the total 2, which is pretty much the cryptos without Bitcoin, all the altcoin seasons. So if you own an altcoin, it is basically in this chart. Well, we've hit a new all-time high as far as the amount of money in the altcoins. But we haven't seen any of the moves like the last 2 cycles, not even close. I mean, really like only 10% of the upside. Most people this time in the last bull run, they were already up, 10, 12% minimum across the board for their portfolios. Now, there's some tokens that have done that, and some have done way better, but as a whole, most people are really down in their portfolio. They're in that 90%. All right. So it made me start thinking, every day we hear about all this adoption. Wall Street and, all the stock channels are talking about crypto, especially Bitcoin. Now, there's no stopping that train, in my opinion. That train, I cannot possibly be more bullish. Altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin up, but I don't know how much better some of these altcoins are going to do than if you'd have just bought Bitcoin. But anyway, it got me thinking. Okay, you hear about Visa and MasterCard and JP Morgan and IBM and Circle and all this crazy stuff. So you're like, well, why is that not in the altcoins? Well, because now that we have regulation, Wall Street, in my opinion, are already the dominant players in crypto. And I'm not talking about just buying the altcoins for speculation. There's some of that going on, and that will continue, especially with the ETFs. But Wall Street has a whole different plan. They want to use this tech to make money, not on speculation. See, we are in a very young asset class, and this asset class is starting to mature. So the speculation is getting less and less. And I truly believe by the time the next bull run starts in 4 or 5 years, most of these tokens are dead in the water, and Wall Street has 100% taken over the lion's share of everything that's important, from DeFi to stablecoins, pretty much everything. Now, I don't say things that don't have merit, and that's what I'm going to prove to you in this video. Now, one last thing. Guys, that's Bitcoin dominance. We've had 2 decent pullbacks, but now it's heading back up, and I have no doubt, could be wrong, have a little bit of doubt, but I'm about 90% sure we're going to new all-time highs on Bitcoin dominance for this cycle, for whatever that's worth. But again, guys, the reason I tell you this is so it'll help you get a game plan to take profits. All right, let's talk about it. All right, when I say, I've said this my very first video because of my background. I said the banks, Wall Street, and the governments, primarily the U.S. government, pick winners and losers. Well, that was an educated guess back then, and now it's coming true right in front of our eyes. Now, we all love certain projects, and some can't be denied. I mean, look at the dominance of Solana for retail. It's unstoppable for retail. And it's getting a little bit of Wall Street adoption. But here's what I see, and do with this information as you will. Wall Street is starting to build out their blockchains, build out their layer 1s, build out their layer 2s, build out their ledgers, build out their entire infrastructure to not lose what they already have. So I'm here to tell you, I have no doubt that in 5 years from now, the dominant players for the flow of money and everything else will be dominating crypto. They have all the customers. There's no stopping them. Now, here's the proof if you need it. Check this out, guys. There's two projects coming out that from Wall Street that do not need a token. They're layer ones. They have no gas fees, none, zero. You can transfer money around the world with stablecoins pretty much for free. They're designed only for stablecoins. Well, that's going to affect Solana, Tron, and even Ethereum, who are by far the most dominant stablecoin users and fee makers who do the most transactions right now. So think about it, guys. They just Tether focused, backed by some of the big names, like Tether's backing it up. You got Coinbase and BlackRock and a lot of these initial backers of crypto. I can't even think about it. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. They're creating this new blockchain named Stable, right? It's a layer one. It's faster. It's more scalable, and it's got all the people from, not all of them, but a lot of the big Wall Street players waiting to use that. Now, they have another one coming out. They just raised like $700 million called Plasma. Now, neither one of these have a token. See, tokens, guys, outside of a very few projects, they're just not needed. There are a few projects like XRP that need a token, but that token is for security to basically keep the bots and the hackers away, because you actually have to own a few XRP. But it was never meant to be a speculative investment. Now, man has done that, just like, you know, I used to be a licensed 3 futures and options trader. I was a commodity trader. Commodities were never meant to be speculated on. It was for farmers and people that work in commodities or grow commodities or create commodities to hedge their position, and man decided to speculate on how all that's going to play out. But, you know, people keep saying cryptos are not stocks, they're commodities. Well, I think you should trade them like commodities, and they're extremely volatile, and lumber has a maximum upside, and the higher it gets, then it will crash. So you need to take profits. Now, that's just two major examples that are coming out. It's going to hit hard. Now, I'm going to run some things through you that will probably shock you, and this is about 4 or 5 hours worth of work using Grok. But guys, again, if you think your favorite project, whether it's ICP, XRP, XLM, Hedera, Quant, whatever, is going to take over the world, their competition is probably on this list. And guys, this is probably only 25% of what's coming. Now, I truly believe, and here's what I see, if all of the projects we know and love, pretty much every one of them disappeared, except maybe Solana, HBAR, and Ethereum, everything the future holds with this tech is going to create would still be created, because it's already being created by the people with the customers. Now, I'm just going to run through this extremely fast, and I highly recommend, guys, do your own research. Spend an hour or two going down the Wall Street and banking rabbit hole, see what they're up to. All right, guys, JP Morgan, for example, they have the biggest, baddest ledger on the planet. It does like 100x more volume, for example, than the XRPL. Period. It has one of the biggest, baddest blockchains on the planet. Period. It's Swift's biggest customer. And it has a partnership working directly with Swift. It has instant settlement. And it is Swift's biggest customer. And JP Morgan owns like 30% of the Fed. Do you see how that works, guys? They are more dominant than anyone can imagine. And their tech is actually more advanced. They are using what is, I think it's DIP technology. It's atomic settlement smart contracts. And it's the next level of that. And no one is even talking about it. That's just one example. But, you know, JP Morgan owns like 3,000 or 4,000 banks around the world. That's locations. All right. No one knows about this because no one talks about it. Goldman Sachs has its own blockchain, and it has partnered with BlackRock, JP Morgan, Fidelity, and some of the biggest names with all the tokens or all the assets that are going to be tokenized. Well, they use the Canton Network for RWA. No ifs and buts about it. That is currently by far the biggest #1 RWA blockchain on the planet. Period. No token to buy. See, they are locking us out. That's typical. Citigroup has a roadmap for tokenized assets. Bank of Melon, they have tokenized asset pilot programs. They have real-time settlement. They have custody. And people are like, oh, Ripple just, for example, partnered with Bank of Melon. No, that's for Bank of Melon to hold their assets, to do their custody. Has nothing to do with XRP. And again, guys, not harping on XRP, just clarifying what's really happening. Now, HSBC are already tokenizing bonds. Standard Chartered tokenized bonds. They cross-border payments. They are building out all that with Goldman Sachs. And yes, I know I can hear it now. Well, they partnered with Ripple. Well, guys, 75% of all Ripple services have nothing to do with XRP. Well, and so you can go on down to Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Again, they're using the Canton Network. The biggest players are using the Canton Network for RWA. So when you compare something like Stellar, XLM, see, it all sounds good until you compare, right? Guys, it gets back to the football. You say, well, I just met the new coach, and I just met the new quarterback, and they got one of the fastest running backs on the planet. Well, what about the other 32? What about the one that has won the Heisman, and they got maybe the 3 fastest running backs and fastest receivers on the planet on one team, right? Stuff like that. Deutsche Bank, they're using the Canton Network. USBS, the Canton Network. Mitsubishi even has cross-border payments for tokenization. APIs, guys, I used to own a lot of quant. I traded it. I did okay with it, and it's a phenomenal project. However, their competition on Wall Street is just software and code. There's no token needed. And quant is not even in the top 10 of the companies dominating like APIs and interoperability for the asset class. There's a company which I've made 3 or 4 videos out called Codent. They're partnered with JP Morgan, HSBC, a ton of fintech companies. They have like 82% market share and are growing every day. Quant is not the future of interoperabilities with APIs. Plaid's a big payment API open banking fintech company. They have APIs for blockchain payments. Stripe, they have a plan. They have a huge amount of customers. They're all using, in some way, shape, or form, Coinbase and USDC. They're your prominent players. ADYEN. They have their own blockchain, Fireblocks. They've built out their own blockchain infrastructure. PayPal, guys, you're going to be able to do cross-border payments through PayPal with stablecoins and other altcoins all over the world. No token needed. Fiserv, guys, they dominate fintech with FIS Global. They have partners with 10 million banks, 6 million merchants. They are using Solana for the most part right now, but FIS Global has instant settlement and all that type stuff. Coinbase, guys, think about this. And again, not here to cut down regular blockchains, but Coinbase is the dominant player in crypto right now. If you read their roadmap, it is off the charts and it's working. They are bringing in companies and doing custodial services, and they're basically creating banking across the board without banks. And they use what? Base, no token needed. Now, Aerodrome may do well, but Coinbase is going to make the money. The stock is going to go up, up, and up. They are going to dominate payments, period. They are going to be definitely in the top 5. Don't believe me? Guess what they settled in one day? One day. $9 trillion. They're already on the level of like JP Morgan and FIS Global and Fiserv, who all settle between 6 and 16 trillion a day. Guys, they're untouchable. And when you compare that, they are getting bigger. They're brand new, right? So when you say something like, oh, well, all the money is going to run on, say, XRP, okay. Well, they've never settled, I don't even believe, I think they've settled like maybe 3 trillion in 14 years. Coinbase is settling that in a day. Guys, you can see who's winning. Galaxy Digital. IBM has its own ledger, guys. IBM has its own ledger for supply chain, for payments, and everything else. Especially like for personalized property, right? When personalized property, intellectual property gets tokenized, who do you think they're going to use? They're going to use the same company they've been using for 1,000 years, IBM. Circle, guys. I truly believe Circle is going to take over Tether. They may not, and I don't know what the future holds because it's moving so fast. But I can tell you there's no, from what I see, there's no stable coin that is going to surpass Circle. They have Bank of Melon, BlackRock, they're partnered with Coinbase. Coinbase gets half of their profits. People don't know that. They just went public. They are a powerhouse. They have instant settlement. And you know, when you talk about a bridge currency, they got rid of it. So when you use USDC and you're going to be able to combine that around the world with other stable coins, you're not going to have to bridge it. Well, that cuts out a lot of projects, made them already obsolete. R3 corridor. A lot of people talk about XRP and definitely XDC. Well, guess what, guys? They just partnered with Solana. They have their own ledger and it's private, and now they've moved over to Solana. Now, I could go on and on and on. There's Consensus, a powerhouse in DeFi and tokenized assets, partnered with JP Morgan, no token needed. Paxos, they are using stable coins on the Canton Network, and they've partnered with PayPal also. Guys, Broadbridge. Broadbridge is the ledger for JP Morgan. I think I mentioned that. Swift. Swift has a roadmap, guys. Swift is moving into Web 3. They are not going to lose. They have partnerships with 11,000 banks. And they are going to be like New York City, and all the ISO tokens might get their share. But guess what, guys? Guess who has instant settlement and is ISO 222 compliant? JP Morgan and pretty much every one of the banks. Now, I told Grok to only put, don't put any of the projects that are mainstream that has a token. But he brought up Ripple. And so I want to bring something to your attention. And again, guys, I'm not here to hype. I'm here to have an intelligent, honest conversation. But the fact is, about 75% of Ripple's services have nothing to do with XRP. And the reason Grok wanted to add this is because, Ripple does have an avenue to try to compete with Swift. But guess what, guys? The avenue is on Ripple's private ledger. Ripple has a private ledger, guys. No, nothing to do with XRP. When you partner with Ripple for CDBCs, there's no XRP involved. They give you your own technology, a sidechain of the ledger, or you can use Ripple's private ledger and you'll use the CBDC for the gas. That's the future, guys. Now, I could go on and on and on, but I want to just mention a few others. Like XLR. Guys, XLR has interoperability for the tokens we know and love, the average tokens, but also for all the blockchains out there that don't have tokens, and they're growing every day. Providence blockchain, guys. Providence blockchain is dominated. It's a group of like 50 American bank franchises. They've had their own blockchain forever. They have been front running payments and RWA and everything for a long time. No one ever talks about them. Again, the Canton Network. But look at this. I'm going to cut it short because I think you understand where I'm going. But look at all these projects, guys. They just go on and on and on. CloudWalk. No one's ever heard of it. Has blockchain payment infrastructure. You have a ton of companies building out their blockchains. Now, if you have the customers, guys, who do you think is going to win? Like right here. People don't know this, guys. And again, not harping on any of these projects, but Avalanche, it can rip. Any of these tokens can rip. But that doesn't mean they have the future, guys. Avalanche has subnets and side chains that are tokenless for Wall Street. And guess what? They don't pay fees with AVAX. It's for private use cases by the institutions. It has nothing to do with basically Avalanche. Same with Cosmos, XLR, what I just mentioned. And this goes on. Hyperledger Bezos enables private Ethereum sidechains for banks, no tokens required. So yes, guys, the point about, then we got PayPal, all these other companies over and over that are players around the world. Visa and MasterCard just created their own blockchain. Look, here's the way I see it. There's going to be a handful of tokens, handful of projects win. I don't know. If I had to guess right now, as far as good investments for the future, I would say Ethereum, definitely Solana, maybe Sui, HBAR. I know a lot of people are going to say XRP, but the problem I personally have with investing in XRP outside of the hype and the speculation is banks or Ripple's customers don't actually buy XRP. That's not bullish. They pay Ripple to use their supply, and it has horrible tokenomics, and Ripple kills any pump. So can you make some money in XRP? Yes. If you bought it back in the day and sold in 2017, you made life-changing gains. But guys, that's across the board. So I truly think you should really spend maybe an hour Now I want to clarify, because if you're still with me, and I appreciate it, guys, the projects out there hopefully can pump in this altcoin season. But even if projects, let's just say Algorand, stick around, Algorand is not going to be a good investment. It may stick around for 20 years, but the price of any of these utility tokens don't have to go up. What's making them go up is speculation. And at some point, they're going to be based on making money. That's another thing about Algorand and the other Dino utility tokens. They make absolutely zero money. It's the tech, right? You use the tech to make the money. Now, because it's a young asset class with a bunch of misinformation and degens, guys, any crypto can pump at any given time. But again, I'm searching for the token that is going to make me the biggest upside with the least risk. And if you want to make the most money in crypto, this is a fact. This can't be debated. Actually, you buy new projects, never experienced a bull run in hot sectors. That's when you make the money. And you can go back and study any token, whether it's Solana, Ethereum, XRP, IOTA, it doesn't matter. The life-changing gains was in the first bull run. Now, if you have a ton of money, yes, you can make it in the second and third bull run. But you are not going to make those, 1,000, 10,000, 30,000 X's without a new project, period. And even no matter how big and bad they are, just like, for instance, Hyperliquid, one of the best projects for this bull run. It has made life-changing gains for the people that got in early. And it makes more money in a day than most Dino tokens make in a year. But because it is such a great project, it's just tech, and it's a DEX. Well, guess who's creating their own DEX? Exactly like Hyperledger. Multiple companies on Wall Street. So I don't know what their future looks like. But again, guys, the reason I tell you this is, so when we get into this altcoin season, and I truly believe we do, you're not just going to say, wait a minute, I'm going to hold for the next bull run. I'm going to wait another 5 years because I know my favorite altcoin is going to take over the world. No, they're not. There may be literally 5 or 10, but the odds are the dominant layer 1s and 2s, which Wall Street is loving those layer 2s on Ethereum. That's why Ethereum has value. Wall Street loves the security layer of Ethereum, and Ethereum's like New York City. It has all the customers, guys. That's another thing. When you look at the ecosystem, it all sounds great. Well, my favorite token's doing this, this, and this, and then you look and compare. It's like comparing, New York City, LA, Miami, Atlanta, Chicago. Compare that to a little bitty town in Florida, right? There's no money there. The customers have to leave that ecosystem and go to Ethereum. Why do that? Why bridge? Why risk the hack? Why pay the extra fees? Why make the extra steps? All right. Hopefully I made myself clear, guys. Let me know what other deep dives you might want. And if you need some help, guys, someone to look at your portfolio and help you get a game plan for, say, the next 5 months, I have 3 Zoom call package. I have a portfolio course that has 17 videos from A to Z, covers everything you need from understanding tokenomics, market cap, how to compare, how to DCA in and everything. Then we go through your portfolio with a Zoom call and we talk about it and I answer any question you may have. Now I also have a shorting course, and guys, if you've watched this channel, you know I truly believe that shorting is the best and most consistent money you can make in crypto in the bull run, and it's going to probably blow your mind, the opportunity in the bear market. Now I also have an inner circle, and if you need some help, guys, just reach out. Now that being said, guys, remember, if the majority were right, the majority would be rich. And if you don't take profits, which is the whole point of this video, of zooming out, is you're probably going to become the prophets. All right, hit that like button. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and come back and be part of this community. And hopefully, we're going to get you in that 10% club. Take care, guys.